we continue, I just want to apologize for not being able to have Beatriz. Beatriz Rey is a columnist for the Brazilian Report. She's a political scientist based in Washington. She always has brilliant insight, but due to internet connection issues, we were not able to enjoy them. But you will certainly, if you read the Brazilian Report, because we're going to ask her to write a few op-eds on what happened, historical events today. Now, I want to bring Ignacio Portes with us. Ignacio is our Buenos Aires correspondent. And do we have, okay, so we have Ignacio now.
Yes.
Hola, ¿qué tal?
¿Qué tal, Gustavo? ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien, ¿y tú?
Very good. Let's speak in English for the international audience.
Yes, let's press the SAP button. So, Ignacio, what is happening in Latin America? How leaders are reacting? Because Lula just confirms this massive trend of anti-incumbency. This is the 15th straight free and fair election in which the incumbent or the pro-government candidate has lost. So what have you heard from other Latin American governments?
Well, two things here in what you're asking. First, there's been a clear coordinated effort between Latin American leaders to congratulate Lula as soon as the trend was irreversible. Like, even if every vote went to Bolsonaro, Lula would win. Like,
so they had that tweet scheduled already.
They had it. All the community managers probably have a WhatsApp group in which they are saying someone said now, and everyone tweeted out, "Congratulations, Lula." When it was,
by the way, sorry to interrupt you, Ignacio. So we just have this tweet from the U.S. Embassy in Brazil, quoting @POTUS, so which is the official account of the President of the United States. This is in Portuguese, but I'm going to translate. Congratulations to Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva for being elected the next president of Brazil after a free, fair, and reliable process. We are working together to continue cooperation between our countries over the next months and years. So Cede was talking about that. There's that expression, it's not over until the fat lady sings, with the fat lady being the White House recognizing your win. And we have so now a statement by the President of the United States, Joe Biden, congratulating Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva. What are Biden's counterparts in Latin America saying, Ignacio?
Well, everyone came out quickly. The only one to do it before the confirmation was Petro from Colombia, Gustavo Petro, saying a simple Viva Lula tweet. But then immediately after the results were irreversible, Alberto Fernandez from Argentina, López Obrador from Mexico, Boric from Chile, all the important presidents came out. There are still a couple of small countries that haven't, but will probably do very soon. And the one remaining question was the United States, but now it's come in, and we're seeing here clearly some kind of solidarity here with Lula, with all these questions about what if Bolsonaro didn't recognize the results. This adds international pressure for Bolsonaro to concede. And regarding what you're saying about the incumbents, since 2018, we haven't seen a victory for an incumbent in Latin America. It's a pretty incredible streak. Some of the elections were pretty close, like La Calle in Uruguay won very close. Lula won very close today, but no president in South America or Central America, among the Latin countries at least, has been able to sustain a government for more than one period since the Colorado Party got reelected in 2018. And Paraguay has elections now, and it's not clear that they're going to get reelected either in a few months, in the first months of next year. So we're seeing that these have been hard conditions to govern with the pandemic.
Yeah, even the ones who have just stepped into office, they have had no honeymoon period, right? You mentioned Boric, his approval ratings were
plummeting,
very low. You guys reported in our Latin America weekly newsletter.
Yes. Very few presidents had a honeymoon. Alberto Fernandez in Argentina had a 6-month honeymoon, maybe, until people couldn't stand the restrictions of the pandemic anymore. Boric had a 3-month honeymoon, maybe, or less, with the Constitutional Assembly made him unpopular very quickly. and he lost the referendum. He lost a key election in the constitutional reform referendum. Petro in Colombia was still relatively popular until a couple of weeks ago, but we're starting to see the polls again going down. The only president who really remains popular
I
is
saw a couple of weeks ago. He just took office, right? In October.
Yes, exactly. He took office like a month or two ago, and he's still relatively popular, 40 something percent in the last polls, Petro in Colombia, but he started from higher, from 60, something like that. And the only one who really has remained steady is López Obrador in Mexico, from the big countries. Also Bukele in El Salvador, there are a couple of exceptions, but really from the big countries, López Obrador in Mexico has remained steadily popular. He has performed relatively well in the midterms. His candidate is seen as the favorite when the presidential election comes in like 2 years away, but he's the only one that more or less has managed to keep a steady ship despite all the devaluations we've seen in the continent. The currencies have been very weak. That usually hurts pockets, right? And all the restrictions.
And the pandemic was brutal,
yes.
right?
The two things, I think those are the two factors: the currency devaluations and the pandemic. Those are hard times to navigate for any government. I think it really puts a bit into question this idea that, okay, the left is gaining ground in Latin America. It is, but how much of that is the left and how much of that is that it's hard to govern and all the right-wing governments lost? Let's see if how many of these left-wing governments manage to sustain themselves, because many are having problems. Castillo in Peru, Boric,
Fernandez, where you are. And like you said, because so the right was in power in Argentina, but then anti-incumbency elected the left, but now the right could be poised to win back power.
They seem like favorites for next year's elections for 2023. All the polls show that the government is struggling to get a little bit more than 30% in the polls, and in a runoff it would be very hard to win, because you have like 30% of votes for 30-something% maybe for Peronism, but then you have a little bit more for the center right, and then you have more far right options in Milei with like 15-20% of the vote, and in a runoff those votes would go for the right. So it's very hard to see at the moment how the center left could get reelected in Argentina. And it's a similar scenario in many countries.
So, Ignacio, thank you very much. Do you think we missed something about Latin America? Because I want to bring Fabiani in to talk a little bit about the markets.
Maybe one last thing we could say is saying that it will be important what we just saw in Brazil in terms of the future of hard right options in Latin America. Bolsonaro was the center, really. After Trump, Bolsonaro was the focal point of Cast in Chile, of Milei in Argentina, of many candidates who were trying to imitate that blueprint to get elected, to govern. And seeing that Bolsonaro lost is a bit of a blow for them, but he's still strong, right? He proved that he did a little bit better than expected in the first round. It was very close tonight. So I think this is a little bit of a loss for the more far right options in Latin America. Probably there are people in the opposition, in the more moderate opposition in Argentina, celebrating today that, okay, it's not always the better route to be more radicalized, but this will be what happens. It will be important to see what kind of opposition the left will see in the future months and years in Latin America.
All right, Ignacio, thank you very much. Muchas gracias.
Great to be here, Gustavo. Bye-bye.